Hi, it's Romy. Welcome to the channel, Gemini. This is your August 2021 soul story. I hope this finds you well. If you're new, then my readings are general, and hopefully the intuitive messages will just give you some heads up and insights to how to navigate the next few weeks. And if you're returning, then welcome back. I so appreciate you and continuing to support my work. So we are into Leo season energy, and we're opening up with the Seven of Cups. Now, choices will abound for you this month, and it's important to remind you that there's going to be both short-term and long-term gain in terms of some of the ways in which things are being presented to you. Gemini, in August, you're going to do it your way, okay? And if you can come into a place of peace with that, you're going to have a far easier experience, because there is a much more powerful need for you to feel leveled and centered than to necessarily be right, to try to justify, to try to explain, to prove, to apologize. Your job this month is to observe the way things are showing up for you, perhaps the choices and the options that are making their way into your pathway and your timeline, but making sure that you're coming from a place that says, you know, how do I want to approach this? What do I need to do in this instance? Because there is this sense, I feel for you in the month of August, about you wanting more ease and less drama. And, you know, perhaps what has even initiated some of the confusion and the uncertainty with the Seven of Cups is that you have perhaps just stepped too deeply or too much into someone else's agenda, someone else's timeline. And I guess I want to ask you, you know, have you been consistently almost like preparing for battle, Gemini, you know, with the people and situations where you're constantly expecting to have to move into this kind of justified energy? Because this is a time when we want you to be sharing wisdom and not fear. And what that requires is that you start to really see and envision a life for yourself where the people and the things that you come into contact with and you participate in actually respect you and the choices that you make. And this is where we will really start to see that these options that are coming in are going to start to feel far more expansive for you. Now, I do have the sense of the month of August also about you being quite mindful, I think, about where you want to invest, okay? And that might mean on an emotional level. For some of you, it might mean, you know, choices and decisions that you're having to make on a financial front. And it might just simply be, you know, where you're choosing to tune in and listen and who you want to spend time with. Now, your Four of Pentacles here does suggest that you may be either coming up against somebody, or you yourself are feeling quite closed or pinched off in some aspect. I wouldn't be worrying too much, because I think there is almost this temporary aspect of just you needing some time and space to figure something out. Now, when we move into the beginning of August, Juno, the asteroid goddess, is going to be going direct in Sagittarius. Juno, of course, rules the 7th house of marriage and partnerships. And as she moves direct, there is a emphasis and focus on what we've learned and how we now apply that to our own sense of personal freedom and empowerment within the relationships that we have in our life. And so it's likely that you've been learning an awful lot about different dynamics, whether they be personal, romantic, or professional, by way of these interactions in the last few weeks and months. And now it's an opportunity in August to kind of almost redefine the terms and the boundaries, making sure that you maintain that level of beautiful, fierce independence and protecting your personal power at the same time as allowing relationships to evolve. And the thing to be mindful of is, you know, if there have been situations where you have connected to people through perhaps times in your life where there has been suffering or trauma, or shared experience of challenge and pain, and then you have gone through a process of evolving, of changing, of growth and expansion, then that relationship too has to evolve. And what you might find is that, you know, the connection, because it was based on that aspect of shared trauma or shared suffering, is no longer feeling right for you. You know, there's an aspect of self-mastery and you needing to kind of continue this level of focus and self-discipline. And so I think that will also be sharp sharply kind of called into question for you, where perhaps you need to see how some of these connections can move with you, and if not, is it time to withdraw or redirect your energy in some aspects. Now, we have in Leo season, of course, that third house energy, which really opens things up by way of communication, news, shorter term plans that can deliver some quick hits for you and kind of help you to move forward quite quickly. Now, the new moon comes in on the 8th of the month in the sign of Leo, and we're also going to be welcoming Lion's Gate, where the sun and Sirius, this brightest star in the sky, align, and this gorgeous portal of energy opens up. An amazing time to really start to harness and manifest things. Now, it is squaring Uranus, which means that there could be some sudden changes that come in, very unexpected. In fact, that air of unexpected events, rare events, is coming all the way through this month of August, because we have a whole series of trines with Uranus, this planet of revolution, of breaking free, of liberation. And we also have the second blue full moon in the sign of Aquarius coming in later in the month. So be prepared for lots of things, like we said, lots of options coming to your door here. And from a professional or work capacity, anything that you might be doing by way of business, this is going to work very, very well for you, as long as you're kind of in that open state where you are able to kind of address the right way forward for you. It's not about seeing something or recognizing the value of it and then feeling like you can have to completely change something about yourself in order to fit in. And there's something I want to say, it feels to me that some of you almost need to bring a sense of realness to some of the dreams that you have. And what do I mean by that? It may be that you've just simply got no reference point of what that could look or feel like. Perhaps your own childhood, or the circumstances that you've been in, or people around you. No one's maybe achieving the things that you want for yourself, and so it's difficult then to kind of come into a place of understanding that it's possible. And it may be that yes, you are absorbing certain information, but it's also not really sinking in. Now, what I really like about this month of August for you, Gemini, is that everything's going to start to feel more personal. So sometimes you can watch something, you can look at something, or you can hear something from someone, and you can appreciate that it has value, and it may be speaking truth and it's positive, but it doesn't really land for you because there isn't that sense of resonance, and it doesn't feel deeply personal to you. Well, there's something about August in terms of the people that are showing up, the things that are coming in, the messages and insights that are being made available to you, both within you and surrounding you, that feel deeply personal. And all of a sudden, it's like that makes sense to you. You're like, okay, now I can see how it's possible. Now I understand. Now it's sort of fallen into place for me. And I think that's really important. So your Queen of Earth, Queen of Pentacles here is giving you that ability to kind of like harness in, focus, and then be exceptionally resourceful and clever, I think, in terms of the way that you start to then utilize that personal resonance and understanding. Because it has meaning for you, it's going to drive and motivate you in new ways. Now, you do have a lot of earth energy coming in, so this is good because it's going to bring a nice feeling of grounded centeredness to your energy. But while we're in Leo season, where Mercury's in Leo, everything is about using your charm, being able to captivate people, going out and doing what you do best, which is networking, connecting, being creative, offering solutions, looking at choices, bringing people together, and kind of just allowing the best aspects of yourself to shine through. And when you can get into that rhythm and energy and you're doing it your way, I think you are really going to be surprising not only yourself but others as well. There's a shedding of a skin almost that I feel is taking place here. Now, it may be that you have to take a couple of different approaches in order to get something right, and I guess the answer you're going to get is when it just feels easy, when it feels effortless. It's like, okay, this is what's going to work for me. Because sometimes something on paper should look like it would be perfect for you, and yet when you begin or try to do it or participate or take it on, it just doesn't land. There's something about it that's just not working for you. But this month sees things coming in that are right for you, that are meant for you. And what we want you to be mindful of, Gemini, is that you are not at any point minimizing. You have to be careful for this, because especially as we come into more of this Virgo ruled energy, you're not minimizing or criticizing where you stand by way of your growth, by way of your accomplishments, even by way of your struggle or the time that it's taking or the pain that you feel. This is about acknowledging and even celebrating the recognition of that emotion, where it's coming from and how your body's feeling it, because all of that is really valuable information that you're going to be using in order to kind of move yourself forward. Now we have offers here. Offers on the table are coming towards you. They can help you to advance in some way, but they do require a commitment from you. Remember what I said about short-term and long-term gain. Sometimes we have to kind of, appreciate that there might be a kind of having to invest in something and we won't see the results necessarily straight away. But we need that structure, we need that level of focus, because actually it's going to help us in a lot of other aspects of our life as well. You know, sometimes when you feel like I don't have enough time or energy or the wherewithal to do this, you know, August is a time that says, you know, let's prepare, let's take the time to actually make time for this, because it's about almost what you are pre-paving for your future self, Gemini, and you're going to be really relieved and I think almost happy with yourself that you took the time to kind of create that space for what it is that shows up by way of the offers that are coming in for you. I think many of you are getting a handle in terms of your security. You might be making some adjustments and perhaps there might be some changes that are going to have to come in order to support something, to facilitate something by way of your growth, okay? Because this month we have this series of Uranus trines. The first one comes in on the 2nd and 3rd with Venus, okay? Now, in Taurus energy, which is where Uranus is, and with Venus, who is the natural ruler of Taurus, we have a strong, firm emphasis around things connected to love and to money. And so a trine means there should be positive news. Now, what should happen is that there's an opportunity to ground that in, to make it permanent, to make it lasting. And so anything that comes up at that very beginning of the month, pay attention to it. The next one comes in with Mercury on the 19th and the 20th. Again, the communication, what you're putting out there, how you're connecting with people, and the flow of energy and information exchange gets another big amplification and a growth spurt, if you like. And again, all of these are coming in by way of releasing you from something, freeing you from something, giving you a deeper sense of personal freedom and liberation. You know, now there is a shock aspect to this, so it may be that you are shocking other people, or you yourself are shocked by some of the events that are set to come into being through the course of this month. The final one is with Mars, and that comes right in on that full moon. Now, the full moon in Aquarius lights up your 9th house, so there's a beautiful sense of expansion here for you, particularly in any aspect of learning and teaching and even your spiritual journey here. But it's conjunct with Jupiter, so the lens of focus here is giving us this powerful Mars-driven surprising news that gives us that boost. We have the full moon revelation coming in. We have the fact that it's very rare with this blue moon aspect to it. Now, you should have had a little bit of a hint around the first full moon on the 23rd of July. That might have come in with a little bit more of a fractious kind of churned up, stirred up energy. But this one should deliver the result, the solution, the way forward, and actually perhaps more than you had anticipated, okay? There's something about this aspect of, like we said, it being very personal and meaningful. So all of a sudden you see, it's almost like psychically, intuitively, you're just shown a map of this is how I do it, this is where I go, this is what it's going to take. And remember what we said about you needing to be stronger in your desire to stay leveled and be at peace than to be right, because if you stop to try to explain or justify or lay it out for people, then I feel like you're more likely to kind of doubt yourself or unpick some of the choices and decisions that you're going to want to make through the course of this month, okay? So that full moon coming in and really amplifying something, but there's also kind of news and information that's going to come to light. And I also get this phrase that just comes in sort of 6 degrees of separation. So you might have some big keys by way of other people like opening up and actually being able to connect to people that would surprise you. Now, of course, the Aquarian energy makes sure that anything that we are doing in the community, in terms of our friendships, anything that we're doing online, also gets that extra boost and is kind of under the limelight. You have the energy of justice coming in here, and so there's a balancing out that's required. Now, justice doesn't come in with an emotional attachment to anything. You know, you may have to put some things in place in order to protect, to facilitate, to allow the expansion and the growth, and that might even be by way of offers, you know, some sort of contract coming in. For some of you, it could be job offers or promotions or agreements for pieces of work or, you know, projects that are going to be initiated. By way of relationships, again, I think you have, I suppose you have that opportunity for conversations that are a little bit more balanced. You've got to be careful, especially coming into Virgo season, which is going to happen on that full moon as well, that you're not getting too critical or judgmental, or you're not feeling that from others, because that harshness can kind of take away from where the love sits, you know, where the appreciation and the respect for one another is. But certainly justice is bringing in a much more balanced, fair outcome to things. And sometimes it's not always what we want, but it's what we need when we're into the energy of justice. Of course, it links into the sign of Libra, so that might be important. And you've got a lot of earth energy here, so Virgo, Taurus, Capricorn, either as people or as, you know, timings. Like, pay attention to that as well, things that might have transpired back in you know, the early part of this year, and then through April and May as well. Now, when we work our way toward that second part of August, what we're also looking at, Gemini, for you, is the fact that sometimes we have to be the witness to things. We can watch something from a distance and see it unraveling. Maybe a person, maybe just something you have been involved in, or to a certain degree you are still engaged or participating in. And there's a natural inclination to want to fix, to want to sort it, to want to soothe it, to want to make it better for them, for others, and even for yourself, so it doesn't feel so uncomfortable to watch. And yet there's something here about having to just be that observer to the process, and kind of wait for that fully to kind of reach a point of conclusion, if you like, to come to a place of closure, so that the transformation and the change can actually be fully realised. And that's really important, because it's at that point that I see you're going to be able to then step in and kind of gather up the energy of the light, and kind of then be the way shower and sort of either direct people or, you know, help in a certain situation to then start to rebuild or reclaim things. And so this energy of death feels an ending or an unraveling, but it feels something that you are observing or witnessing. Now, we did talk, of course, about the fact that you yourself are going through this profound, like, shedding of a skin, and so in that aspect you're having to sort of show up differently. You're having to look at yourself in new ways. You know, you're having to try different approaches. And through that process, like we said, it's important that you're not only sharing the wisdom and not the fear with others, but also with yourself, because sometimes when we have these more uncomfortable energy cycles that we're working through, it can feel that there is a sense of loss, and to all intents and purposes there is, and sometimes there is a grieving process that needs to happen with that. You may be grieving someone, a connection, a relationship, or the ending or the absence of something, but what we're not fully seeing sight of yet is what it's going to be replaced with, which can actually be a new evolved version of that connection, of that soul, of your experience of that area of your life. And so we don't want you to be too quick to judge, because I think what comes from that, like I said, is an opportunity for almost you to demonstrate new higher levels of understanding within yourself as well. Okay, so the Tower energy, I mean, I really think this is pretty connected to what I think is going to be unfolding there by way of the energy of death and transformation. And of course, the whole month is permeated with this unexpected events and situations transpiring. Now, you know, this looks with all of the fire kind of billowing out of the building here, and the birds kind of like flocking off into the distance to kind of get away from it, like an energy that you want to distance yourself from. Feels very dramatic. And yet, honestly, there's something that the guides are saying to me here, of saying, you know, this is just deconstruction. This is just deconstruction. You know, this isn't spirit or the universe coming in and punishing. There's nothing punishing about that. You know, this is a crisis. This is a healing crisis. This is an energy crisis. This is a requirement for something to fundamentally change in your experience. And yes, it might be felt very differently for each and every one of you, depending on what's going on in your life. You know, much more closer to home, of course, Virgo energy comes into the 4th house, which is about that where we feel safe, what makes us feel safe. And so there might be something changing there, because actually what you've built those bridges to kind of safety on previously are no longer relevant, and they're no longer resonant. But it might also be that you're going to be experiencing that by some of the people or situations going through profound change and deconstruction happening there. And yes, that can be a slightly chaotic, frenetic experience. We do have some confusion playing out through the course of your reading, but you also have a tremendous amount of focus here. You know, this is not a month where we want you to lose sight of what your hopes and dreams and ambitions and goals are. Leo wants big goals with Soul Gemini, so you got to pay attention to where the energy is calling you forward. Remember, you have to do it your way. And yes, that might upheaval and disrupt, and that might be going on in the background for you, but you can't let it stop the progress of where you're meant to be going. And you'll know yourself, like you'll be guided towards that, because there is something about making sure that you're really prepared through the course of this month, because when things happen, they're going to be happening really, really quickly. And I think we are getting almost changing the very foundations of the way that we kind of look at security in our life. Emotional security, financial security, security of our health and well-being, of our own personal liberty. Like everything is sort of being thrown up to be questioned, and from that deciphering and that sort of scrutinizing and that curiosity, what you're coming up with is almost like a new strategy and a plan for yourself in order to navigate through what these new energies are giving you. So we have the chariot coming through here, and there is a powerful will and desire and determination. It is a little bit as well like I said, kind of almost wanting to distance yourself a little bit from whatever might be going on or playing out here. But at the same time, you know, the chariot energy has a deep courage. You know, there's a quality of just knowing that the journey ahead might not be easy, and we might be carving a new path, and we might feel at times really out of control, but at the same time we have no choice but to just keep going. And when we do it our way, then at least we are being guided by the most important person and the most important thing in our life, which is our higher self, our true soul, because that's really the only person that can know what is right for you and what you are meant to be doing at this moment in time on your own journey. So I see that even if there are situations by way of relationships that feel tumultuous or feel difficult, there is still a way forward, is what it's showing me. There is a way forward, there is hard work, and there is a quality of sort of both having to come to the table and to balance it out and to find a fair and just kind of resolution to it. And I see you being open to that at the same time as, you know, not desiring to kind of seek that conflict. I think more ease, less drama, like we said. And you'll be really aware of what kind of words are coming forth from you or others that are wrapped in fear and what's wrapped in wisdom. And if you can kind of get on board with that, then I think you're about to see some tremendous breakthrough energies for you. So this deck is called the Ark. It's over 100 cards, this one, and it's oracle cards, but they also do link in with the tarot. But this one specifically is the dog. It's talking about service and devotion and honesty. And, you know, there is something about that loyal quality of the dog that's coming through. But, you know, first and foremost, we're loyal to ourselves. We're devoted to our own expansion and to our spiritual evolution. And in doing so, we are able to show up with an energy that is far more authentic, and in not minimizing anything about who we are, what we have achieved, where the struggles are. And I want to say there's just like something about where you're putting the energy out. You know, it's just like if you want to share a win, make sure you take it to the right audience. If you want to be vulnerable and open up, make sure you're going to the people who you know are going to nurture you. And it's really clear, you know the people that are going to be able to hold that space and those who are not. And that's going to make all the difference for you, because you're just making better informed decisions for yourself. But there is also something about the way that people and experiences are starting to show up that you can count on. You know, things can lead to so much more. But again, like we said with that page of wheels here, it's like there's more to learn and there's more to understand as part of this, okay? So your agreement to kind of sign up might mean that, you know, you have to kind of go through a little bit of the initiation process before you kind of come out of the other side. And maybe that process isn't so easy either, but it certainly feels like it's going to be valuable in terms of what it can deliver for you. Okay, we have in the Oracle of the Magical Mystical Moments, my home is my castle. And of course, 4th house energy in Virgo season puts a strong emphasis on the foundations that support you, because that's everything, isn't it, in terms of where we feel safe. And so you might be looking at literally your physical home, you might be looking at your place of work as to where you spend time and who you spend it with, and you know, the space that you hold for yourself. And what you need from any one of these parts of your life, Gemini, in August is that kind of safe harbour. And as you find that, you're going to start to feel much more energized and focused to be able to look out ahead. You can see, you know, she's holding that turret there. She feels very safe in what she's created and the space that she's surrounded by, and therefore she's now able to observe and to look, you know, by that vision questing quality way out into the distance in the future. And so, you know, making sure that you have that safe harbour, whether it be knowing the right people or knowing the right places or needing to make changes that kind of allow for some fresh, rejuvenating energy to come in that level, is going to be really conducive to you creating and being at your best, and also your relationships coming through in a much more harmonious way, okay? So remember what I said, are you consistently preparing for battle? You know, there's something about that castle, you know, obviously being built as sometimes the kind of the protection quality, and she might be looking out into the distance expecting for something to come towards her. Just make sure you're not getting too much into that kind of an energy. So your crystal oracle is the lace agate, and it is talking about adaptability, and it is linking in, of course, to your element, the element of air. And adaptability, resourcefulness, tenacity, these are all things that are being absolutely gifted to you by the energy of the Queen of Earth in the course of this reading, and I really like that. Even the chariot as well. So you have this quality of being able to make quick, almost impulsive decisions based on hunch, based on instinct, based on opportunities that are going to be coming up for you. One or two that feel like they're beyond your wildest hopes or dreams or expectations, and at the same time it's kind of really understanding, you know, this very personal kind of attaching meaning to the way things are happening, and knowing that there are changes and transformation that has to take place in order for you to be able to kind of really say yes and kind of give yourself permission, you know. Okay, Gemini, so this is a general reading for the month of August. I hope that you find it valuable. If you'd like to join me for the extended, I'm going to go ahead and pull some additional cards for a question that you have that might not have been directly answered in the main part of the reading. We'll do that now. You can find the link for my reading for the extended in the description and the comment section underneath. So if this is resonating, it's just a way to support my channel. I'm deeply grateful for those of you that decide to come on board with that. And let's just start clarifying this main spread as well. So we have the energy of the 7 of Cups, And the Four of Swords coming in here. And the Wheel of Fortune. There's that fated, unexpected quality coming in. Two of Pentacles. King of Cups here is our water energy. Scorpio, Cancer, or Pisces. Something that feels a little bittersweet, I want to say, in connection to that energy, but we'll explore that a little bit more. Got another Seven of Cups coming in there. I honestly feel like, you know, to a certain degree, you do know what you want, and when things are showing up, you know what you want to do, what you ought to do. I think the confusion is because it's more that you're second guessing, or you're worrying about the impact or the fallout. See this offer coming in with the Nine of Cups and the Magician. It is going to be really good for you, Gemini. Page of Cups and the Emperor, yeah. Strong influence. Well, we have the beginning right after that energy of change coming in, don't we? Another Four of Pentacles here. There is a powerful revolutionary quality to August. It's also softer in many aspects from what we've experienced, with less of the outer planetary clashes that we had through June and July. So you should also feel that as well. Another Tower. Let's just put one more there. Justice. Okay. Gemini, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're joining me for the extended, I look forward to continuing this conversation with you then. Bye for now.